And the other factor that we need to consider is that is the Bitcoin halving going to create enough bullish sentiment so that even if the S&P sees a reversal, Bitcoin will just continue up? Is that possible? Are we going to see Bitcoin behave like it did down here, up here, trading against the S&P's reversal? Is that possible? It's possible. I'm not sure how likely it is, but it's possible. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Svenson, and today we're going to be talking about the price of Bitcoin, and we're also going to be talking about Bitcoin's relation to the stock market right now. Bitcoin is up 4% in the past 24 hours, trading around 7,130. And right now, the S&P 500 is up about 2%. Guys, let's get as many likes as we can on this video. Also, subscribe to the channel. And if you want extra content from me on some of the days that I'm not posting on YouTube, join the Patreon. Now, let's get started on the Bitcoin analysis. Right now, I'm looking at the CryptoWatch asset card list. We can see that Bitcoin is up over 4%, Ethereum up 6.5%, trading above 180, and all the top cryptos are following Bitcoin to the upside. Looking at the daily chart for Bitcoin, we can see that right now Bitcoin is trading in between some key support and resistance areas. These are actually historic levels that we're bouncing off of recently. Bitcoin has currently found resistance at 7,466, which is where we found support at the golden retrace during Bitcoin's pullback in 2019, right before the China pump and dump. And recently we found some support just above 6,430, which is where we found our low in 2019. Bitcoin has recently entered this range, and we are finding support and resistance off of these two key levels. If you guys have been watching this channel since the global market collapse, then you remember that we identified this low as a reversal point and as a low point for Bitcoin, and the weekly volume actually indicated, considering that we had levels above the $20,000 peak, that this was very likely a low point, that we would see a reversal. And looking at the daily chart about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we identified this bump and run pattern way in advance, and it is playing out right now. Bitcoin was trading within this downtrend, had a major impulse off the downtrend, and is now breaking back up, back and through this previous downward sloping resistance. And as I've been saying in all my previous videos, as long as we're creating higher lows, then I have to remain bullish on Bitcoin. What we've been discussing in some of my previous videos is that the one thing that could stop Bitcoin's bullish recovery is if the stock market sees a major reversal. And as I mentioned earlier, the S&P is actually up 2% today, so we're not really seeing any major reversal just yet. The stock market is actually still holding these levels. So let's hop over to the S&P chart right now. I think it's pretty important for people in crypto to understand that there is a correlation between Bitcoin and the stock market. Bitcoin is not always correlated with the stock market, but the macro trend generally is. When the stock market is extremely bullish, Bitcoin usually follows. When the stock market is extremely bearish, Bitcoin usually follows. And recently, if we're looking at the S&P, during this major dump, it's pretty obvious that Bitcoin had a pretty negative reaction to the global market collapse. And on March 16th, I made that tweet where I said that the stock market doesn't have much more room to move down, about 10% at the most, and then we hit major support. And after March 16th, the stock market dropped about a little over 8%, and then had a major recovery. And again, guys, it only makes sense if the stock market is bullish, Bitcoin's generally bullish. If the stock market is bearish, Bitcoin's generally bearish. Now, again, Bitcoin is not always correlated. In fact, on March 16th, Bitcoin started to break out while the stock market continued down, which was interesting to see. If we're looking at Bitcoin on March 16th, this was right here, the day right before Bitcoin had that breakout and started to push higher. So Bitcoin actually traded against the stock market for those final few days of finding that low for the S&P before the major rally. That's the interesting part. It's not always directly correlated all the time, but it does generally correlate. So one thing we need to keep in mind is that, let's say the S&P continues up and maybe we hit around a $3,000 S&P target to the upside, like I've been talking in my previous videos. If something like this were to take place and we hit this upside target around $3,000 for the S&P, what would this mean for Bitcoin if we rally up and then have a reversal? Because it's very likely that the S&P is going to see a reversal. Most major market cycle tops have this type of formation where we see, potentially lower lows, at least a lot of volatility, guys. At least a lot of upswings, a lot of downswings. in this range that we're going to see. So I'm looking for a reversal in the S&P. But again, like I said in all my previous videos, the S&P could see more upside before the reversal actually happens. So what does that mean for Bitcoin? If the S&P breaks out to higher prices, then this means that Bitcoin could get that push to the upside above 7,466, that previous resistance, and maybe look to test some upside targets. But now the question is, what happens when the S&P has a reversal? Well, Bitcoin will very likely also see some downside. Of course, people do not like when I say these things. People really don't like when I talk about Bitcoin's correlation to the stock market because they just don't want to believe that it's true. But it is obviously true. But guys, here's the good news. Bitcoin found its low before the stock market did, and Bitcoin actually had a reversal before the stock market did, which means that Bitcoin has enough demand at these low prices to get bought up. The interesting thing was that even as the S&P was declining here towards the end before we found this low, there was enough confidence in the price of Bitcoin at these low levels for a bounce and a recovery. And for those of you that were paying attention to the S&P and Bitcoin's correlation in this area, this is really important. If you're trading this market, you can benefit a lot from this information. The days that the S&P were bouncing, Bitcoin was taking those bounces to the upside. Bitcoin took that bullish sentiment right here to the upside. We found some bullish volume and a push to the upside. So again, the point I'm trying to make here is that as the S&P was seeing lower lows, Bitcoin was actually seeing higher lows. So we were actually trading against the S&P in this range. And that's just the reality of the situation. Since then, Bitcoin has been seeing higher lows. And since then, the S&P has also been seeing higher lows. Now, looking at the weekly chart for the S&P, as I was saying before, it's totally possible that we may actually see more upside, upwards of a $3,000 S&P, before getting that reversal that I'm talking about. And this means that Bitcoin could very likely, if that were to take place, Bitcoin could very likely be testing upwards of at least 7,700 to around 8,200 or higher. Some are saying 9,000. I'm not necessarily looking up to 9,000 just yet, but my point here is that Bitcoin could be continuing bullish. And now the conclusion that I'm coming to, that even if the S&P sees this type of downside, that doesn't necessarily mean that Bitcoin will see lower lows as well or something like that. What this could actually mean is that we just come back to retest maybe some support before continuing the recovery. Now, again, I'm just discussing some potentials here and how Bitcoin could react to the stock market. As of right now, I'm still remaining bullish on Bitcoin. I'm still remaining bullish. We're still creating higher lows. We're not confirming a reversal just yet for the S&P. Things could still continue bullish. Anything is possible, but it's very likely that the S&P at some point gets a reversal, and we're going to have to see how Bitcoin reacts to that. And the other factor that we need to consider is the Bitcoin halving going to create enough bullish sentiment so that even if the S&P sees a reversal, Bitcoin will just continue up? Is that possible? Are we going to see Bitcoin behave like it did down here, up here, trading against the S&P's reversal? Is that possible? It's possible. I'm not sure how likely it is, but it's possible. Guys, I want you to let me know what you think in the comment section below, because I think this is an extremely important topic for me to discuss, and we need to understand how Bitcoin interacts with the global market environment. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Be sure to sign up with the CryptoWatch platform, which is the crypto platform that you see me use in all my videos. And be sure to sign up with the Patreon if you want to support my work here on this channel and get extra content. I will see you guys in the next video.